Greetings to all the aspirants present out there. This is Chandigarh Civil Services. Aspirants, we have already started one series, that is your Himachal Pradesh examination, administrative examination, specifically focusing on the mains perspective, where we have already covered one topic, that is your governance in Himachal Pradesh. So that means this topic we have already covered. So proceeding further, we will be taking your next topic, that is your Himachal Pradesh Public Service Guarantee Act of 2011. But before we see the nitty-gritties of this particular act, let us specifically talk about one particular concept, that is Right to Services Act. When we talk about this right to services, then let's see that when we talk about the India being a democratic country, that means in this particular democratic country, there is a prudent use of right to vote. That means the people are using this right to vote where they are electing the representatives. And yes, these representatives, they are under the constitutional obligation where they have to provide the certain services to the citizen of India. And yes, if due to any complacent nature of these representatives, if they have failed to provide the services, then such kind of a mechanism, that is Right to Services Act, it acts as a panacea for the people. So that means this plays a very, very crucial role. So let us see what exactly Right to Services is emphasizing. So let's see. The Right to Services Act is nothing but this is the statutory laws where there is a need to ensure that is the time-bound delivery of the public services. And yes, this is just to reduce the corruption, enhancing the accountability, transparency. That means these is all are related to the good governance concept. And yes, if these civil servants are failed in order to provide these services within the stipulated time period, then yes, there is a mechanism where these civil servants can be punished. And yes, when we talk about this act formulation part, then yes, states have the complete discretion. That means states have the discretion where they can adopt, implement and limit this act. So if we talk about the India, currently around 20 states have implemented providing the citizen to the standard, quality, transparency and timely delivery of the services. And yes, Madhya Pradesh, Jyoti, that was the first state who enacted the Right to Services Act in which year? That is on 18 August 2010. That is on 2010 they has implemented, and Bihar was the second state which has implemented this particular act, that is on the 25th of July 2011. So on the same line, when we talk about the Himachal Pradesh has also formulated the same act, that is your Himachal Public Service Guarantee Act of 2011. So yes, in this particular act, it is a statutory law which again guarantees that there must be a time-bound delivery to the services for the various public services which is rendered by the government to the citizen. And yes, if they are failed, then punishment mechanism is also incorporated into this particular act. So that means Himachal Pradesh government ने भी ये same act को implement किया है. So let us see. Himachal Pradesh government has implemented this particular act in 23rd September 2011. And yes, under this particular act, the state government has brought around 29 departments under which they have to provide the opportunities, various kind of the public services to the people of the state. So that means 29 departments are under and they keep on updating it. So that means whole utilities, whole implementation process is under the state's discretion. Let us see which are the departments which are part of this Public Service Guarantee Act, specifically Himachal Pradesh related. So various departments are there, like Animal Husbandry Department is there, Social Justice and Empowerment Department, then Health and Family Welfare Department, Forest Department, then Home Department, Irrigation and Public Health Department, Industries Department, Agriculture Department and Panchayati Raj Department. So that means this is the complete list where these all around 29 departments are incorporated into the Himachal Pradesh Services Guarantee Act, like your Transport Department, Forest Department, Corporation Department, Horticulture Department and HP Board of the School Education. So these all are incorporated into this particular act. So what are the features of this particular act? What exactly it is emphasizing? So let us see. First, the state, any public authority will designate the particular officer. So that means in this, there will be a designated officer. So that means designated officer in all the administrative units, they will be covered under this particular act. And yes, when any person want to file an application, there will be a no fee. That means no fees will be charged. And yes, the time will start from the day of the receipt of the application of the notified services. And yes, these designated officer, they can either reject or accept the application form. So that means या तो वो reject कर सकते हैं या तो वो accept कर देंगे. So that means if they are rejecting, then they have to written in the writing what is the reason for the rejection. And yes, if accepted, so that means there will be a redressal of that grievances within the time frame. Again with this, if they reject or if they are failed to provide, then yes, that particular applicant has the option that they can go to the first appellate authority. That means within the 30 days from the date of rejection of the application, they can go to the particular servant, that is your appellate authority. So that means in the first appellate authority, within the 30 days they can go. And yes, even if the appellate authority reject or it is not able to provide the services, then second option is also available, that is your second appellate authority. So that means if the applicant is not satisfied with the first appellate authority, then it has the option to go to the second appellate authority, but provided within the 60 days. First appellate authority means 30 days hai, or second में it's your 60 days. When we talk about these appellate authorities, so both these are having the power of the civil courts. So that means they can summon the particular person also. So that means जो आपकी civil court की power होती है, same power this first and second appellate authorities having. And yes, they are also having the power to punish the particular civil servant also. So that means this fine can be from 1,000 to 5,000 fine. They can also in charge on that particular servant. And yes, when we talk about the certain challenges which is and the related suggestion to this particular act, then yes, one of the most important challenges is that when we talk about the designated officer, they are designating any particular officer which is not specifically or precisely is expert in that particular field. So that means there is a lack of clear roles and responsibility. Next, this is non-binding. Yes, state is having a discretion in order to implement, and yes, again, the department is also non-binding in providing the services. Again, next is there is no window clearance is there. That means there is a huge red tapeism is there. There is excessive paperwork is there, and the procedure is so tedious that it's quite that most of the people are reluctant in order to go such a long process. Next is most of the people are also complacent. There is a lack of information regarding the various department, what type of services they are providing. So that means there is a lack of information also. The next is there is a limited notified services. When we talk about, there are very limited services which is notified, especially when we talk about Himachal Act. When we compare it with the other states like your Odisha, Madhya Pradesh, there is a lot of services which has been notified. So there is a need to enhance the list of this notified services. Next is your limited participation. Yes, whether it's a citizen, there is a very limited participation. They are all are unaware about such services. And yes, one of the very basic services like your domicile or income certificate, that issuing time frame is very, very large. So that means timeline for issuing of the various certificates which are very, very important is very, very lengthy. And yes, digital divide is another problem. And last one is your red tapeism. So these are the certain challenges, these are certain lacunas which need to be filled out. Next is when we conclude about it, then yes, in order to ensure the ethos of good governance and participative democracy, there is a need to bring the holistic reform. So such type of the public delivery reforms is needed, but along with this, it has to be complemented by the police and legal reforms, your financial inclusion, improvement in the social infrastructure. Then only the public services, that is your Right to Services Act, can be adhered very fully and can be provided to the services to all and sundry. So this is needed. So that means we have covered one topic, that is your Himachal Pradesh Public Service Guarantee Act of 2011. So stay tuned and connected. Thank you.